Life is a journey filled with challenges, uncertainties, and moments that test the very core of who we are. But let me tell you this, every obstacle, every trial, and every setback is not there to destroy you, but to prepare you. They are the refining fires through which your character is forged, your faith is strengthened, and your purpose is revealed. You may find yourself standing in the midst of the storm, questioning, why me? But the question should not be, why me? It should be, what is God teaching me? Because in every challenge, there is a lesson, and in every struggle, there is a hidden blessing. Trust in the God who sees the end from the beginning, the one who holds the blueprint of your life. He knows exactly where you are and where you need to be. Sometimes the way forward feels impossible. You take one step and it feels like you're knocked 2 steps back. But do not let discouragement settle in your heart. Remember, the darkest hour is just before the dawn. God's timing is never early and it's never late. He is a God of precision, and He is preparing something far greater than you can imagine. You see, the enemy wants you to give up. He wants you to believe that your situation is hopeless, that your dream is unattainable, and that your pain is unending. But let me remind you, you are not defined by your circumstances. You are defined by the promises of God. And His promise is that He will never leave you nor forsake you. His promise is that all things will work together for the good of those who love Him. So keep going, keep praying when it feels like your prayers are hitting the ceiling. Keep believing when your faith is tested. Keep trusting even when you cannot see the path ahead. Because trusting God is not about understanding His plan. It's about knowing His character. He is faithful. He is good. And He is always working behind the scenes, orchestrating your breakthrough. Your current situation is not your final destination. What looks like a delay is often divine preparation. God is equipping you, stretching you, and molding you for what is coming next. Do not despise the process. Embrace it. For every great purpose requires preparation, and every great victory requires perseverance. So rise up with courage in your heart. Walk forward with the confidence that God is with you. Let the trials refine you, not define you. Let the storm strengthen your resolve. And let your unwavering trust in God be the foundation upon which you build your life. Every obstacle you face, every trial that seems insurmountable is not there to break you, but to build you. Challenges are not a sign that you're on the wrong path often. They are confirmation that you're on the right one. The purpose of a trial is not to destroy, but to prepare. Just as gold is purified in fire to remove impurities, your character is refined through the challenges you encounter. It is in these moments of difficulty that your true strength, resilience, and faith are revealed and strengthened. Think about it. No great story of success or transformation is free from adversity. Every victory is preceded by a battle, and every breakthrough comes after persistence in the face of opposition. When you are tested, it is because there is something greater within you that must be brought to the surface. Trials are not the end of the road. They are part of the journey to becoming everything God created you to be. The struggle you are facing today is building a strength that you will rely on tomorrow. You may not see it now, but each challenge is a step toward the fulfillment of your purpose. Each difficulty is equipping you with the tools, the wisdom, and the endurance you will need for the greater task ahead. And remember, God does not allow challenges in your life without also providing the grace to overcome them. So when you feel overwhelmed, remind yourself that this moment of struggle is part of a bigger picture. What you are going through is preparing you for what you prayed for. The greater the challenge, the greater the preparation. And the greater the preparation, the greater the purpose. Trust that God's plan for your life includes every high and low, and that even in the hardest times, He is working to mold you into the person He has called you to be. When life throws challenges your way, it is natural to ask, why me? But that question leads to frustration and despair. Instead, shift your perspective and ask, what is God teaching me in this situation? Every difficulty carries a lesson, and within that lesson lies the key to your growth, strength, and purpose. God does not allow pain without a purpose. Behind every challenge is His intention to develop something in you that you may not yet see. Life's struggles often feel overwhelming because we look at them from a human perspective, focusing only on what is lost or broken. But God sees the bigger picture, and every hardship is His way of pruning, refining, and preparing you for what's to come. When you face adversity, God is teaching you patience, resilience, faith, and reliance on Him. These are not just qualities you need for today, but tools for your future. Sometimes the lesson isn't obvious right away. The challenge may feel like an unanswered question, a problem with no solution. But God's timing is perfect, and He reveals His lessons in the right season. The greatest wisdom often comes from the toughest trials. Consider how every storm shapes the landscape it touches, and in the same way, your struggles are shaping you into a person of purpose and power. God uses your circumstances to teach you dependence on Him. When life feels impossible, He is showing you that you are not meant to carry the burden alone. He is teaching you to surrender, to trust, and to lean on Him fully. The lessons you learn in moments of struggle are the foundation for your breakthroughs and the wisdom you will carry forward. They equip you to not only overcome, but also to inspire and guide others who face similar challenges. So when the road is rough and the burden feels heavy, remind yourself that there is a divine lesson hidden in the midst of your trial. Ask God to open your eyes to what He is showing you. Embrace the process, for the lessons learned in hardship are the stepping stones to the life God has prepared for you. Trust in His purpose and know that nothing you endure is wasted in His hands. There are moments in life when you feel like everything is slipping away, when you've done all you can, yet the breakthrough remains elusive. In those moments, it is easy to wonder if God is paying attention, if He sees the struggle and hears the cries of your heart. But let me remind you, God's timing is never early and never late. His timing is perfect, even when it doesn't align with your expectations. You see, we live in a world of instant gratification where waiting feels unbearable and patience is undervalued. But God operates on a divine timeline, one that is designed for your good and His glory. When you pray and do not see immediate results, it's not because God has forgotten you. It's because He is preparing you and the circumstances around you for the answer. He sees the end from the beginning, and He knows the exact moment when the blessing will have its greatest impact on your life. What feels like a delay is often divine preparation. God is not just working on the blessing, He's also working on you. If He were to give you what you're asking for before you're ready, it could overwhelm you or derail your journey. He is shaping your character, building your faith, and aligning the people and opportunities you will need for the road ahead. Trust that His plan is unfolding in ways you cannot yet see. Waiting is not wasted time. It is a sacred process where your trust in God is deepened and your reliance on Him is strengthened. Just as a seed planted in the ground takes time to grow, so does God's purpose in your life. The roots must grow deep before the tree can bear fruit. And the deeper the roots, the stronger the foundation for what is to come. So do not grow weary in the waiting. Do not let impatience or doubt steal your joy. Remember, God's delays are not His denials. He is a God of precision, and His plan for you is good. When the time is right, He will make all things beautiful. Until then, trust that He is working behind the scenes, orchestrating every detail for your ultimate good. Hold on to your faith and let God's timing refine you, not frustrate you. Because when His plan finally unfolds, you will see that it was worth every moment of the wait. Your circumstances do not define you. What you are going through right now, the challenges, the struggles, the pain, these are not the measure of your worth or your future. You are not your failures. You are not your setbacks. You are who God says you are, and He says you are chosen, loved, and destined for greatness. The world often tries to label us based on what we've been through. It tells us that our past mistakes, our present struggles, or our failures determine our value. But let me tell you, God's promises for your life are far greater than the labels the world tries to place on you. He does not look at you through the lens of your circumstances. He looks at you through the lens of His divine purpose and His unfailing love. When life feels overwhelming and you're tempted to define yourself by the weight of your burdens, remember this: God has a plan for your life that goes beyond anything you can see in the moment. He uses the difficulties you face to shape and strengthen you, not to define or diminish you. Your value is rooted in the promises of God, promises that are eternal and unchanging. Think of the great figures of faith: Joseph, who was betrayed and imprisoned, Moses, who faced a Red Sea of impossibility, David, who stood before a giant. Their circumstances were dire, but they did not let their situations define them. They trusted in God's promises, and through their faith, they saw his power at work. Their trials became the very foundation of their testimonies. Your current struggles are part of a greater story that God is writing. They are not the end. They are the beginning of something extraordinary. God sees beyond your limitations, beyond your pain, and beyond your doubts. He knows the greatness he has placed inside you, and he is committed to bringing it forth. When you feel small in the face of life's challenges, remind yourself that you serve a big God. He is not limited by your circumstances, and neither are you. Your destiny is not tied to your struggles. It is tied to the promises of the one who created you. Stand firm in this truth and walk forward, knowing that you are defined by his grace, his power, and his unshakable love. The challenges you face are not random. They are intentional moments designed to test your faith, your perseverance, and your resolve. They are the enemy's attempt to discourage you, to make you question your worth, your purpose, and even God's plan for your life. The enemy knows that if he can get you to give up, he can rob you of the blessings and breakthroughs that God has prepared for you. Discouragement is one of the most powerful weapons the enemy uses against you. He whispers lies in your ear, telling you that you're not strong enough, not good enough, not deserving of God's promises. He magnifies your problems, making them seem insurmountable, and tries to convince you that quitting is the only option. But the truth is, the enemy attacks hardest when you are closest to your breakthrough. The intensity of the battle is often a sign that victory is near. You must recognize these attacks for what they are: distractions and deceptions. The enemy's goal is to turn your focus away from God and toward your problems. But your strength lies in keeping your eyes on the one who holds the solution, not on the problem itself. Every time the enemy tries to discourage you, it is an opportunity to draw closer to God, to rely on his strength instead of your own, and to remind yourself of his promises. The enemy is not attacking you because you are weak. He is attacking you because you are valuable. He sees the potential in you even when you don't. He knows that if you persevere, you will become unstoppable, fulfilling the purpose that God has placed on your life. That is why he fights so hard to make you give up. But remember this: greater is he who is in you than he who is in the world. You are not fighting this battle alone. God has already equipped you with everything you need to overcome. He has given you his word, his spirit, and his promises. When the enemy comes against you, stand firm in the knowledge that you are more than a conqueror through Christ who loves you. Each time the enemy tries to discourage you, use it as fuel to push forward. Let every lie he speaks remind you of the truth of God's promises. Let every obstacle he places in your path strengthen your determination. And let every attack remind you that you are on the verge of something extraordinary. Do not give up, for the enemy's opposition is simply confirmation that you are walking in God's purpose. Faith is the foundation upon which your life must stand. It is not just a belief, it is the lifeline that connects you to the limitless power of God. Faith is what allows you to move forward when everything around you says to stop. It is the assurance that God is working even when you cannot see him, and the confidence that his promises will come to pass no matter how impossible they may seem. There will be times when your faith is tested to its very limits. Moments when the storms of life are so fierce that it feels as if you cannot take another step. In those moments, your faith becomes your anchor. It is what grounds you in the truth that God is with you, that he will never leave you nor forsake you. Faith is not about ignoring the reality of your struggles. It is about trusting in a greater reality, God's power, love, and purpose. Faith requires action. It is not enough to simply believe in God's promises. You must also live as if those promises are already fulfilled. Faith means stepping out even when the path ahead is unclear. It means holding on to hope when the situation feels hopeless and continuing to trust when answers seem far away. Faith is not passive, it is active, dynamic, and alive. The Bible reminds us that faith as small as a mustard seed can move mountains. This is not a metaphor, it is a divine truth. The power of your faith lies not in its size, but in its focus. When your faith is rooted in God, it connects you to the one who is able to do immeasurably more than all you can ask or imagine. Your faith releases his power into your circumstances and invites him to work on your behalf. But faith is not always easy. It requires perseverance and trust, especially when life doesn't make sense. It's in these moments that your faith grows the most. Like a muscle, faith becomes stronger when it is exercised under pressure. Every trial you face is an opportunity for your faith to deepen, for your trust in God to become unshakable. When doubts creep in and fear threatens to overwhelm you, remind yourself of who God is. He is faithful, unchanging, and always in control. Reflect on the times he has been there for you in the past, and let those memories fuel your faith for the future. Speak his promises over your life, declare his word, and refuse to let fear dictate your decisions. Faith is not the absence of fear, it is the courage to move forward despite it. It is the quiet confidence that God is bigger than any obstacle, greater than any enemy, and stronger than any challenge. Faith keeps you moving when the world tells you to stop. And it is the bridge that carries you from where you are to where God wants you to be. Keep your faith alive, for it is the key to unlocking the fullness of his plan for your life. God's strength is made perfect in your weakness. This truth is one of the most profound assurances you can hold on to in your journey of faith. When you feel exhausted, overwhelmed, or unable to take another step, that is precisely when God steps in with his unlimited power. Your limitations are not a hindrance to him. They are an invitation for him to demonstrate his greatness in your life. The world often tells you that strength is about having it all together, about never faltering or admitting your struggles. But God operates differently. He is not impressed by human strength. He is drawn to humility and dependence. When you come before him acknowledging your need for his help, you create space for his power to flow into your life. It is in surrender, not striving, that his strength becomes evident. Consider the Apostle Paul, who pleaded with God to remove the thorn in his flesh, only to hear the Lord respond, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." Paul didn't receive the answer he wanted, but he received the strength he needed. That strength allowed him to endure, to rise above his struggles, and to fulfill the purpose God had set before him. When you rely on your own strength, you will inevitably reach a breaking point. Human effort can only carry you so far. But when you lean into God's strength, there are no limits to what you can endure or achieve. His strength is infinite, unwavering, and perfectly tailored to meet every challenge you face. What seems impossible becomes possible when you allow him to work through you. In your moments of weakness, do not despair. Instead, let those moments remind you of your dependence on God. Let them drive you to your knees in prayer, where you will find the grace and strength to carry on. Weakness is not a failure. It is an opportunity for God to show himself strong on your behalf. Remember, God is not looking for perfection. He is looking for surrender. He doesn't expect you to have all the answers or to carry every burden on your own. He wants you to bring your struggles, your doubts, and your weariness to him. When you do, he exchanges your weakness for his strength, your fear for his peace, and your uncertainty for his assurance. Life's battles are not won by might or by power, but by the Spirit of God working within you. So when you feel weak, don't give up. Instead, lean into God's strength, trusting that he is more than enough to sustain you. His strength will lift you, guide you, and empower you to face whatever lies ahead. In your weakness, he is glorified, and through his strength, you will overcome. When you are faced with adversity, it's crucial to keep moving forward, even if the road seems uncertain. Life is full of obstacles, setbacks, and trials, but the key to overcoming them is persistence. You don't have to know all the answers, and you don't have to see the full picture. What you need is the courage to take the next step, to keep going, even when it seems like there's no way through. Every forward movement, no matter how small, is progress. Often when challenges arise, it's easy to feel overwhelmed, like the weight of the world is pressing down on you. You might feel tempted to quit or question if it's worth it. But let me tell you the difference between those who succeed and those who fail is not talent or circumstance. It is the willingness to keep going. The most successful people are not the ones who never face difficulties. They are the ones who keep going despite them. God has already equipped you with the resilience you need to face whatever comes your way. The Bible tells us that those who wait on the Lord will renew their strength. This strength comes not just through rest, but through persistence in trusting God and continuing to move forward. It's in the act of stepping out in faith, of continuing to press on when everything around you seems to be falling apart, that God shows his power. He doesn't leave you stranded. He meets you in the act of faith. Sometimes you might not be able to see the results immediately. You might not understand why things are taking longer than expected. But every step you take is a step closer to God's plan for you. Trust that even when you can't see the outcome, God is still working behind the scenes, orchestrating everything for your good. His timing is perfect, and what seems delayed to you is often just part of his perfect plan unfolding in ways you can't yet see. Remember that there are seasons in life when things may feel stagnant, but persistence is what keeps you going until the breakthrough comes. Every trial, every setback is shaping you and preparing you for something greater. Don't measure your progress by immediate results. Instead, trust that every step you take, every effort you make is moving you closer to the fulfillment of God's purpose for your life. The enemy wants you to stop. He wants you to believe that it's not worth it, that the struggle isn't leading anywhere. But the truth is, your perseverance will bear fruit. As long as you keep trusting God, keep moving forward, and refuse to quit, you are positioning yourself for a breakthrough. Keep your faith alive, keep your focus on the prize, and let the strength of God carry you through every challenge. It is when you keep going, when you refuse to be defeated by your circumstances, that you will see the hand of God working in ways you never expected. Your breakthrough is coming, but it requires you to keep moving, to keep trusting, and to keep believing that no matter what, God is with you every step of the way. God's timing is always perfect, even when it doesn't align with your expectations. In our human nature, we often want things to happen on our schedule. We pray, we work, we plan, and then we wait, expecting answers and breakthroughs in the way and time we have imagined. But God's ways are higher than our ways, and his timing is beyond our understanding. His delays are not denials. They are part of a greater plan that we might not yet fully comprehend. When it feels like nothing is happening, when you've done everything you can and yet still see no progress, it's easy to become discouraged. But know this: God is working behind the scenes, orchestrating things in ways you cannot see. Just because you don't see immediate results doesn't mean God is not moving. He is positioning people, circumstances, and opportunities in place for your ultimate good, and sometimes he allows delays because he knows what you need more than you do. The delays you experience are not a sign that you've been forgotten or overlooked. Instead, they are divine moments that allow you to grow in patience, endurance, and trust. If everything happened when you wanted it to, you might miss the lessons that are shaping you, the character that is being developed, and the strength that will carry you into your next season. Trusting God's timing is about believing that he is in control, even when everything around you feels uncertain. Think of the story of Joseph. He was given a dream as a young man, a dream of greatness and success. Yet he spent years in a pit, then as a slave, and then in prison before he ever saw the fulfillment of that dream. During those years, God wasn't punishing Joseph. He was preparing him for the destiny that awaited him. Joseph's character, wisdom, and trust in God were being refined in the waiting. Had he been elevated to his position of power too soon, he may not have been ready for the responsibility and challenges that came with it. When you're in a season of waiting, don't despair. Use that time to strengthen your faith, to develop patience, and to trust that God is aligning things according to his perfect plan. You don't need to understand the timing, but you do need to trust the one who holds time in his hands. God's delays are not meant to discourage you. They are meant to build your trust in him and to prepare you for the blessings he has in store. God's timing is always right. It may not always make sense to you, but it is always for your good. Even in the moments when it seems like your prayers are unanswered, know that God is working. He is preparing you, and he is preparing the situation for your breakthrough. When the time is right, when you are ready, God will open doors that no man can shut. He will bring you into a place of favor, blessings, and opportunities far beyond what you could have imagined. Keep trusting his timing and keep believing that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. The journey of life will sometimes feel like a constant battle. There will be moments when you feel as if the weight of the world is on your shoulders, and you might even question whether it's all worth it. But let me assure you, you are not alone in this. The truth is, even in your hardest moments, God is fighting for you. His presence is with you, his strength is sustaining you, and his victory is already assured. When you face challenges, when the storms seem overwhelming, and when others may not understand what you are going through, know that God sees you, he knows your heart, and he is with you every step of the way. He has not forgotten you. In fact, the battles you face are often a sign that God is about to do something powerful in your life. It is in the fiercest moments of adversity that God's glory shines the brightest. He uses the trials to refine your character, to deepen your faith, and to prepare you for greater things. The enemy may try to make you believe that you are losing, that you are being defeated, or that you are not strong enough to handle the weight of your circumstances. But this is a lie. God's word tells us that we are more than conquerors through him who loves us. This means that no matter what you face, you are not fighting for victory, you are fighting from a place of victory. The battle has already been won. Jesus Christ conquered sin, death, and every power of darkness. His victory is your victory. So when you feel overwhelmed, when you feel like giving up, remember that you are not fighting this battle alone. God has already gone before you, and his angels are encamped around you, protecting you and strengthening you. He is fighting for you in ways that you cannot even see, turning your struggles into stepping stones toward your breakthrough. Your strength is not in your own ability, but in the power of the one who is with you. When you feel weak, he is strong. When you feel like you cannot go on, he will renew your strength. God is your protector, your provider, your healer, and your deliverer. And when he is on your side, no enemy, no circumstance, no force of darkness can stand against you. You may not always understand the reason for the struggles you face, but trust that God is using them for your good. He is shaping you, molding you, and preparing you for a future that is greater than anything you can imagine. The struggles you go through today are not permanent. They are only temporary, and they are working in your favor even when you cannot see it. So when the weight of life gets heavy, when people may try to drag you down, and when doubt tries to creep in, stand firm in the knowledge that God is fighting for you. His promises are true, and his faithfulness is unshakable. He has equipped you for the battle, and he will see you through to victory. Don't give up. Keep moving forward, keep trusting, and keep believing that the victory is already yours. God is with you, he is for you, and he will never leave you. As we reflect on the journey ahead, remember this: no matter the challenges, no matter the doubts, and no matter how difficult the road may seem, God is always with you. He is fighting for you, he is strengthening you, and he is preparing you for something greater than you can imagine. Keep your trust in him, for he is faithful, and his timing is perfect. Do not give up, for in every trial there is a victory waiting. Hold on to his promises, lean into his strength, and keep moving forward with unwavering faith. With God on your side, there is nothing you cannot overcome. Trust in him, keep going, and watch as he leads you to the breakthrough that is already on the way.